You are staring at a bowl of lukewarm noodles in a cramped neon-lit diner in New Jersey when the burner phone in your pocket vibrates once. It is 3:14 a.m. You do not check the message. You do not even pause your plastic fork mid-air. You know exactly what that single short pulse means. It means the 6 months you spent living in a mold-infested studio apartment, drinking cheap beer with low-level street soldiers, and letting your real identity erode into nothing has finally paid off. You are being called up to the big leagues. You leave $5 on the table and walk out into the freezing rain, leaving your half-eaten dinner and your old life behind. The drive to the social club in Newark takes exactly 22 minutes. You spend every second of it running through your cover story. You are not an undercover federal agent with a commendation for bravery and a wife who thinks you are stationed at a desk in D.C. You are a disgraced former dock worker with a short fuse and a talent for making problems disappear. You repeat the lie until you can feel it in your bones. If you hesitate for even a fraction of a second when the questions start, you will not end up in a prison cell. You will end up in the trunk of a car at the bottom of the Hudson River. You park 2 blocks away and walk the rest of the distance. The club is a nondescript brick building with blocked-out windows and a single green light over the steel door. You knock twice, then once, then twice again. The heavy metal slit at eye level slides open. A pair of cold, dark eyes stares at you for a long moment before the heavy deadbolts click open. You step inside, the smell of expensive espresso and stale cigar smoke hitting you like a physical blow. This is the inner sanctum of the Moretti crime family, and you just walked right through the front door. A massive man named Paulie, whose knuckles look like scarred walnuts, pots you down with practiced efficiency. He takes your legal carry piece, a Glock 19, and tosses it into a wooden drawer without a word. He does not find the sub-miniature recording device sewn into the waistband of your jeans. He motions with his chin toward the back room. Your heart is hammering against your ribs, but your face is a mask of bored indifference. You push open the heavy oak door and step into the room where the real power sits. 3 men are sitting around a green felt card table, but no one is playing cards. In the center is Don Moretti himself, a man in his late 70s with eyes that look like pieces of flint. To his left is his underboss and nephew, Marco, a volatile man in a $1,000 tracksuit. To his right is the consigliere, an elderly lawyer named Silvio who looks like he should be teaching a university ethics class instead of advising a criminal empire. They all stop talking and look at you. The silence in the room is heavy enough to suffocate a weaker man. Moretti does not offer you a seat. He simply stares at you for a full minute, evaluating the set of your shoulders, the look in your eyes, the callousness on your hands. You do not look away. In this world, looking away is a sign of weakness, and weakness is a death sentence. Finally, the old man nods slowly. He tells you that he has been watching you on the docks. He likes that you keep your mouth shut and your ears open. He says there is a shipment coming in tomorrow night at Pier 40, a shipment that cannot afford any cost. Marco leans forward, his voice a low, gravelly growl. He tells you that if anything goes wrong, if even a single crate goes missing or a customs agent asks too many questions, he will personally peel the skin from your body. He is not exaggerating for dramatic effect. You have read the files on Marco Moretti. You know about the 3 bodies found in a meat locker in 2024. You nod your understanding, keeping your voice flat and devoid of emotion. You tell him the job will get done. You leave the club at 4:30 a.m. with a thick envelope of cash in your pocket and a knot of pure dread in your stomach. This is the breakthrough your handlers have been dreaming of for 3 years. You have just been handed the keys to the Moretti family's main smuggling operation. But as you drive back to your safe house, the weight of the envelope against your thigh feels less like a reward and more like an anchor. You are sinking deeper into the abyss, and you are starting to forget what the surface looks like. The next evening, the rain has turned into a thick gray fog that rolls off the water and wraps around the shipping containers like a shroud. You are standing at the edge of Pier 40, your hands shoved deep into the pockets of your leather jacket. Behind you are 4 of Moretti's men, all of them armed, all of them nervous. In front of you is a massive cargo ship from Palermo, slowly nudging its way toward the dock. This is the moment where everything can fall apart. The ship docks with a heavy, metallic groan. Within minutes, a massive steel crane is lifting a single unmarked red container from the deck and lowering it onto the wet asphalt. This is the shipment. According to your briefing, it contains high-grade industrial machinery on the surface, but hidden within the hydraulic presses is over $50 million worth of pure uncut heroin. Your job is to oversee the transfer to a fleet of waiting delivery vans and ensure that the local port police look the other way. You see a flashing yellow light in the distance. A Port Authority patrol car is slowly making its rounds down the line of piers. One of the soldiers behind you, a twitchy kid named Joey, reaches for the pistol tucked into his waistband. You grab his wrist and squeeze hard enough for him to wince. You tell him to relax, that you will handle it. If a cop gets shot on your watch, the entire operation is blown, and your cover goes with it. You have to handle this the old-fashioned way. You walk out into the middle of the access road, standing directly in the path of the patrol car's headlights. The car comes to a stop 20 feet away. A heavy-set officer with a mustache steps out, hand resting on his holster. He asks you what you are doing on a closed pier at midnight. You do not flash your badge. You do not tell him you are a federal agent. Instead, you walk up to him with a confident, easy stride and pull a fat roll of $100 bills from your pocket. You tell him that there is a minor inventory issue being sorted out and that his department would probably appreciate not having to fill out a mountain of boring paperwork. You slip the roll of cash into his shirt pocket. It is $5,000, more than the man makes in a month of legal work. The officer looks at you, looks at the red container being loaded into a van, and then looks back at the cash. He pats his pocket, smiles a tight, wordless smile, and gets back into his car. He turns the car around and drives away. The transfer takes another hour. By the time the last van speeds away into the dark, your shirt is soaked through with cold sweat despite the freezing temperature. You have just successfully facilitated the importation of enough poison to destroy thousands of lives, and you did it with a smile on your face and a bribe in your hand. This is the part of the job they do not teach you at the academy. They teach you how to shoot, how to surveillance, how to gather evidence. They do not teach you how to lose your soul, one small compromise at a time. A week later, you are no longer just a guy on the docks. You are a trusted associate. You are invited to the Sunday dinners at Don Moretti's massive estate in the suburbs, surrounded by high stone walls and armed security. You sit at the long table with the family, eating homemade lasagna and laughing at the Don's jokes while your wire records every word. You watch the grandchildren playing on the manicured lawn, and for a terrifying moment, it all feels normal. It feels like a community. It feels like home. You find yourself liking the Don. He is a monster, a man responsible for unimaginable violence and corruption. But he is also a patriarch who cares deeply for his people. He asks about your family, about your background. You tell him the fabricated story of your father's death and your mother's struggle, and he listens with genuine empathy, resting a heavy hand on your shoulder. The moral clarity you had when you started this operation is beginning to blur around the edges. The real test comes on a Tuesday in mid-May. Marco calls you to a warehouse in the Ironbound district. When you arrive, the air is thick with the smell of wet concrete and fear. In the center of the room, tied to a metal folding chair under a single bare bulb, is a man you recognize. His name is Tommy Gallo. He was one of the soldiers on the pier the night of the shipment. His face is already a bloody mess, one eye swollen shut and his breathing ragged. Marco is pacing back and forth, slapping a heavy leather blackjack against his palm. He tells you that $50,000 was missing from the drop after the pier operation. He says Tommy was the one counting the bags. Tommy is weeping, swearing on his mother's life that he did not take the money, that it must have been a miscount or someone else. Marco does not believe him. He looks at you and smiles a cruel, predatory smile. He hands you the blackjack. He tells you that it is time to prove you are truly part of the family. He says that if you want to move up, if you want to be a made man, you need to show that you have the stomach for the heavy work. He tells you to make Tommy tell the truth. Your stomach does a violent flip. You are wearing a wire. Your handlers are listening to this right now in a surveillance van parked 3 blocks away. They cannot help you. If they move in now, the 3-year investigation is dead, and so are you. You look at Tommy. He is a low-level thief, a criminal who would probably sell you out in a heartbeat to save his own skin, but he does not deserve to be tortured to death in a dark warehouse. You look at Marco. He is watching you with intense, unblinking eyes, looking for any sign of hesitation, any trace of the cop beneath the leather jacket. You realize with a cold certainty that if you do not do this, you will not leave this warehouse alive. You take the blackjack from Marco's hand. The leather is cool and smooth. You step up to Tommy. You tell him in a voice that sounds nothing like your own that he needs to stop lying. You lean in close as if to whisper a threat, and you see the pure terror in his one good eye. You raise your hand and you strike him. You strike him again and again, channeling all your fear, all your rage, all your self-loathing into the blows until your arms ache and Tommy is no longer making any sound at all. Marco is laughing. He slaps you on the back and tells you that you did a hell of a job. He says Tommy will talk now or he will die, and either way, the message is sent. You drop the blood-stained blackjack onto the concrete floor and walk out into the night. You throw up in the alleyway behind the warehouse until your ribs ache and there is nothing left in your stomach but bile. You have crossed a line that you cannot cross over again. You are no longer just pretending to be one of them. You are one of them. The evidence is mounting on the hard drives in the secure federal facility. You have recorded conversations detailing extortion rackets, labor union manipulation, drug distribution networks, and at least 4 unsolved murders. The prosecutors are ecstatic. They tell your handlers that this will be the biggest mafia bust in the state's history. They are talking about RICO indictments for the entire Moretti hierarchy, from the Don all the way down to the street soldiers. They tell you that you only need to hang on for a few more weeks. But those weeks feel like an eternity. You are barely sleeping now. Every time you close your eyes, you see Tommy Gallo's bloodied face. Every time a car follows you for more than 2 blocks, your hand goes to your weapon and your heart rate spikes to dangerous levels. You have started drinking heavily to dull the constant buzzing anxiety in the back of your brain. You look in the mirror and you do not recognize the man staring back at you. The hard, cold eyes belong to the criminal you created, not the federal agent you used to be. One night, Don Moretti invites you to his private study after Sunday dinner. The room is lined with dark mahogany bookshelves and smells of leather and expensive scotch. He pours you a drink and tells you to sit down. He looks tired, older than he did a few months ago. He tells you that he knows his time is short. The doctors found something in his lungs, and Marco is too hot-headed to run the family long-term without burning it to the ground. The Don looks at you with a strange, heavy intensity. He says that he sees something in you that he rarely sees in this life anymore. He sees loyalty. He sees intelligence. He says that after the upcoming sit-down with the Genovese family next month, he wants to officially induct you. He wants to make you a capo, to give you your own crew and put you in charge of the entire waterfront operation. He is offering you a seat at the highest table in the underworld.